Hey guys, welcome back, and today we are looking at Broadway grosses, and we have some very interesting takeaways from this week, so let's get into it. And Juliet went from 97% to 97.54, making $1 million and still doing quite well. A Beautiful Noise went from 58% to 60%, and 721K to 734K, which is a little increase. I still think it will close in January. Not much else to say there. I just don't think it's gonna work. So we'll see. I know they're adding a lot of matinees in the fall, and maybe it will have a turnaround. I just don't see it happening. And the reason why, again, is because most shows that are doing 734K aren't going to last very long. You know, that's why musicals leave all the time. It's because you can't really go under like 800K, in some cases 900K. It's just, the business model of musicals is really not great. Back to the Future went from 96% to 94%, and 1,258,463 to 1,169,157, which again, it is decreasing week by week, but again, any show would kill for these kind of numbers, and it will obviously fall a little bit when we get into the September and October months, but again, it's made so much money over this past summer and done so well, and it will continue to do very well in the next 2 months that it's absolutely fine. It's a blockbuster. Funny Girl went from 1,216,459 to 2,132,454, going from 80% to 96%, so it is ending very strong. Poor Hadestown went from 98% to 94%, and 673K to 613K with an average ticket of only $88, which is incredibly poor for Hadestown. Again, this might close in January, I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to, and maybe with that, the new cast coming in, they might boost ticket sales. But again, where I am standing right now, things are not looking so hot for Hadestown. I mean, any show that's doing those numbers, whether that's Hadestown, or Here Lies Love, not doing well. Like, if you see a 6 in front of any musical, it is alarm bells going off. Always. No exceptions. Hamilton went from 100% to 99%, and 1,904,853 to 1,834,851. Here Lies Love went from 90% to 79%, and 777K to 627K, which is terrible. I think the business model that they've cultivated for Here Lies Love has been very poor. This was a musical that premiered in 2014 off Broadway. It had all the hype, momentum, and then it didn't come. And I feel like shows that take a long time or have various productions and then go to New York or whatever, or some shows like Shocked, which premiered in Utah but got no buzz or publicity, that is needed for an original piece like Here Lies Love. And I know Here Lies Love is an original piece, it's an autobiography in a way, but to a lot of people it is an original musical. It counts as one. It's not based off of a brand or has any stars in it, you know. And so with Here Lies Love, Circle in the Square was the only theater they should have gone to. The only theater they should have gone to. Only theater. Because this story is not known to a lot of people in the US, at least in my opinion. And when you tell people about the story, they get a little confused. It's a little complicated. They're like, oh, that's what this is about? Like, even when I was first figuring out what Here Lies Love was about, I had to really think about it. And people that have to really think about it, a lot of the general population, they're going to tune out. They want a quick, easy sample of what the show is. And you're like, oh, well, it's about the people power revolution in the Filipinos and this dictatorship, but it's in nightclub music. It's like, what? You know what I mean? It's a very strange concept when you think about it. It's a very non-mainstream concept. Now, the disco elements, it's very touristy. It looks like a very Broadway musical, but tourists don't know what Here Lies Love is. Also, Here Lies Love wants to be the next Moulin Rouge or the next, you know, Aladdin or Lion King, but those are four quadrant shows, which means it can appeal to families, kids, older people, and I think teenagers or whatever. And Here Lies Love, little kids can't see this, so you kind of, and people that are kind of like teenagers might not be interested in it. So you kind of have to think about the people that can see it, might not just be interested in seeing a story that's not theirs. And that's a whole other conversation we can get into about culture and like why us as Americans don't want to learn about other stories from different parts of the country, but that's a, you know. But anyways, I just don't think this show has the broad stream appeal that something like Back to the Future does, and it's never going to. And that's why the tourists didn't really come to it, because there was MJ, Wicked, Lion King, Here Lies Love, what is this? You know, and they had to build momentum, they had to build hype. No one knew what this was. It didn't have, you know, and some people criticize it, thinking it glorifies the Marcos. Some people say it doesn't. Some Filipinos are against it. And some Filipinos can't see it at all because it's so expensive. I paid over $200 for my ticket. It is way too expensive. The core audience that you need to get to does not have the money. But again, that's the whole point, is this whole financial model is flawed. Because you renovated the Broadway theater. It's this extremely expensive musical. And you have to pay... You have to sell tickets at a high price, but in this economy and with the market that you're trying to target, there's not going to be enough of those people. And the people that do have that kind of money want to see other things, you know? And so I just think that this whole financial model that they came up with was extremely flawed and wasn't thinking very business savvy or business good. It just seemed like they just were like, let's put it on the Broadway theater. Put in Circle and Square, tickets for $80, a lot less expensive. More people that actually, like Filipinos and diverse people, can come and see it. Because on Broadway, especially with $200 plus tickets, you're going to get a lot of white people and not a lot of Filipino people. Just saying. If I'm an investor and I'm a producer, I would have expected it to have made $1 million at least. Or at least we open in the summer, and the thought probably was we open in the summer, we can get a lot of tourists in, and that can save us through the fall months. And then we'll have Christmas, Thanksgiving. Then, you know, we'll have January and February, then we'll have springtime Tonys, and then we'll win the Tony, Best Musical, big summer box office. But that's not happening. I don't know if it will make it to May of next year. Could close in January, if I'm being honest. If it continues down this path, I don't see a way forward for it. I just think that the model that they came up with was always going to kick them in the butt, and this is living proof that it is. And this kind of reminds me a lot of Parade, and how that was, you know, a controversial show at the time, but then later on it started a fan base. So I'm thinking, is this ahead of its time? Is it a little bit behind its time? You know, what is this? You know, so please let me know what your thoughts on why you think Here Lies Love is not working on Broadway. So Kimberly Akimbo went from 79% to 82%, and 545K to 589K. Again, not doing so good, $500,000. It's going to close in January. It should be making 800, 700K, and it's just not. Moulin Rouge made $1 million and went from 94% to 97%. Softer numbers, but it did very well in the summer and in the winter, so it's fine. Once Upon a One More Time went from 442K to 451K, and 44% to 53%. Shucked went from 674K to 688K, and 86% to 87%. I think it will close in January, but it's managing to maintain a solid stand somewhere, but obviously 600 is not good for any show. Six is posting concerning numbers. It went from 827K to 778K, and 89% to 84%. So again, the alarm bells don't need to be sounded yet. But it is kind of concerning that it's been falling significantly in the summer. Something Like It Hot went from 760K to 733K, and 67% to 64%. Now again, this was the best selling, most profitable, you know, new musical that opened this season. So I think it will survive until January, but again, it only had a few good weeks, and now it's going back into the 7s and the 6s, so I don't think it's going to last very long. And if we look back, when it opened November and December, it wasn't making the kind of money it needed to, so it's probably lost more money than it's made. So yeah, and then Sweeney went from 79% to 85%, and 1,325,483 to 1,367,292, with Josh Groban coming back in. So those are the grosses for this week. A very interesting week, and we're starting to see what's going to close, what's going to open. We're starting to get a good picture of what the season layout is going to look like, because obviously in the summer everything does pretty well. So now we are starting to see the cracks in the foundation, and I'm very intrigued to see where everything goes. So like, sub, and comment, and I'll see you next week. Peace.